I'm going to ask this final question to all of the panelists, so you can all weigh in. All of you are aware or have studied to one degree or another the apparitions and message of Our Lady of Fatima. Which aspect of the Fatima story either moves you the most deeply or have you derived the most spiritual benefit from?
All of that.
Pray your rosary every day. It's the simple things. It makes me realize that as a convert, I need to be treated like a little child sometimes. And it's keeping things simple that for me is most helpful of the entire Fatima business. Very helpful.
So what has impressed me the most is just, I say it often, it is the only solution. I actually wish, and maybe you can help me with this, I wish that every single Catholic podcast, Catholic video, there's a lot of different apostolates out there saying things, and they oftentimes tell us like the bad news and the negative stuff going on in the world, coming from the church, etc. We hear it. I wish all of them would finish by basically saying, but remember, we have the solution. Our Lady of Fatima gave it. We just have to obey her, and then we're going to have world peace and the triumph of the Immaculate Heart. So I would say that's the part that has impressed me the most, and I think it's most urgent for us to share with everyone because we have to realize it is the message for our times. It is the only solution, and we've got to get all Catholics to realize this. Like each one of us has to do more to get more Catholics to say this and to know this. And just like we say, God bless you to people when they sneeze, when they tell us something bad, we've got to say, yeah, it's really rough. But Our Lady of Fatima's got the answer, and it's going to happen. So let's, get on with her program. So that's what's impressed me the most and helps me the most.
I'd like to build on what David just said as well. I think the words of Our Lady to Lucia particularly are very encouraging for all the young Catholics of the world. My Immaculate Heart will be your refuge and the way to God. And just to keep in mind that this generation, we have an obligation and a duty to God to seek refuge in the heart of Our Lady. Keeping in mind that we have been born for this particular time, God has destined from all eternity that each one of us should be in this room, that whoever's watching online would come across this video and across these conferences, and that all of us would have this grace of faith. And so to keep in mind that we have a duty and an obligation to remain faithful to God in these difficult and dark times, but that her Immaculate Heart will triumph. And perhaps it'll be our generation, but for sure, it will be the future generations. It will be our children. So we have to keep the faith and keep that encouragement always that we have to set up the stage to prepare for the triumph of the Immaculate Heart by being good parents or by being good religious or by being good future priests, whatever your vocation particularly is. Live it out faithfully and keep in mind to always stay close to Our Lady in these times.
I think maybe the aspect of Fatima that personally I have found, let's say, also most moving would be, I think, what I would call the lex orandi and lex credendi of the Catholic Church, because as a priest, in my 25 plus years as a priest in these times, again, Fatima times, it's been very clear to me how the doctrine and worship of the Catholic Church has been so terribly attacked. So that's what I refer to when I say lex orandi, lex credendi. That's Latin for lex orandi, the law of prayer, lex credendi, the law of belief, our doctrine. Basically, put simply, it's the way we as Catholics worship God and what we believe, our Catholic doctrine. So there's been such a heavy attack on this in so many ways. And to see how Our Lady of Fatima in her message, this also obviously includes the apparitions of the Angel of Portugal, most certainly also here is included the vision of Tui, where kind of everything is summarized in a marvelous, marvelous way. But the message of Our Lady of Fatima in so many beautiful ways is reaffirming the worship of the Catholic Church, her lex orandi, and her doctrine, her lex credendi, and it's also what is being so much attacked again in our day. So that along with, I'd say, the vision of Tui, you got to kind of, like, let's say, learn a little bit more about that to appreciate it. But I think that's been very, very moving and helpful for me personally.
For me, it's the heroic sanctity of the children. The notion that God chose these little children in this small little place to become saints and to promote a message that is so vital to the world through their penances, and especially what I find most moving is the persecution they faced, not just from a secular world, but from Catholics, from a priest, from a Catholic milieu in a way, that they were called to be heroic, even though it was contrary to what was popular in their context. And these are children. That, I think, is such an inspiring example for myself at every step of my own journey.
And for me, it is when I discovered Fatima and read the description of the miracle of the sun in 1988, then it was a miracle of the sun. In 1989, I discovered the life of the children. Then it was, as Kevin says, this incredible life of the children. In 1992, we had the pilgrimage, 75 years of Fatima, in Fatima, and we made the pilgrimage. I was missionary in Gabon in Africa. I came with about 50 pilgrims to Fatima, and during Fatima, in the hotel, there was a witch who had on her conscience more than 100 lives she killed, and she was a very, very important personality, a chef of a clan and this person, before my knees, she converted, and afterwards 100 people after her came to Mass and converted all together. In the beginning of 1992, we made the year of Fatima. We had in Gabon 50 communions. At the end, we have 350, which was exceptional. Then I say, Fatima, it is Our Lady's power before my eyes. I go further. I come to Poland. I learn that Our Lady, all these details, briefly, just every year, I am amazed by another thing. And that was is now after 36 years living with Fatima, with Our Lady in the Immaculate Heart, it's no end. Wherever you go back to this and you meditate about this, it happened just before when I prepared my conferences for this. I say, oh Mother Mary, how are you great? I discover always more things. And as I told you, I meditate hundreds of times about the words you have heard many times. My Immaculate Heart will be a refuge. I know it by heart. I say it thousands of times. Whenever I meditate about it, a new light, a new depth. Fatima has no end. It's going to the all eternity. And this is, my eyes, something absolutely outstanding, that you will never finish with Fatima. You can go back to these apparitions, and this is this incredible power of Our Lady. She's really the mediatrix of all graces. She is really the sun, you know, the woman in the sun, and she gives the answer of everything. So I would sign with if I could, with my blood, whatever each one of you said, and I would say, I have not finished. I am just waiting what Our Lady waits to give me about Fatima when I go there the next time. That is my experience about Fatima. I'm so happy. Whenever somebody says Fatima, I'm thrilling with joy.